It is 4:00, November 2nd, 2020. Who would have thought time could go by so fast? I welcome all of you to this meeting of the Conway City Council and officially open it. Please come in. We're happy to have Jacob Moreland with us from the Rock Church to give our invocation and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for just being able to gather together as the leaders of this community. And Lord, I pray for your wisdom. I pray for your discernment over our leaders, our city council members, our mayor. And God, holistically, I pray over this nation. Tomorrow is a big day, and it's very easy to view it one side or another, but I pray for unity. I pray for discernment amongst all of our leaders and realize that you are in charge no matter what. I pray for great discussion and conversation and democracy tonight, God. Thank you so much. And it's in your precious Son's name that we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, or to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. One of our members is absent this evening. Justin Jordan is not feeling well. Let's pray that he will be well and return very soon. With his absence, we still have a quorum. All the other members of council are present. Madam Clerk, have we satisfied the requirements of the Freedom of Information Act?
We have.
Thank you very much. We will move forward with the agenda as it is set forth. First, with an approval of the agenda, is there a motion? Mr. Hyman.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Mr. Hubbard?
Second.
I have a properly seconded motion to approve the agenda. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And the motion carries unanimously. Now, relative to the consent agenda, is there a motion? Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda as listed.
Thank you. Is there a second, Ms. Timms?
Second the consent agenda.
We have a properly seconded motion to also approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please, with a show of hands. And that motion also carries unanimously. Item 5, special presentation. A, presentation of resolution to retired employees, Ms. Lynn Smith. Hello, Ms. Smith.
We will recognize Richard Andrews from the police department first. Okay.
How do you do? Hello. You brought your better half. Yes, so happy to have you.
This is Mr. Rick Andrews and his spouse. And of course, we are here to honor you and your retirement tonight. Whereas Richard Andrews was employed by the city of Conway on August the 27th, 2007 as a senior records clerk, And whereas Richard Andrews was responsible for records management, compliance with SLED and FBI reporting requirements, FOIA requests, and many other duties. And whereas Richard Andrews served on the department leadership team and assisted in planning departmental events. And whereas Richard Andrews retired from his employment with the city of Conway as of December 31st, 2019. It is resolved for this Conway City Council does hereby bestow and honor recognition to Richard Andrews for his years of dedicated and unselfish service to the city of Conway and its citizens. We wish you well and many, many happy years of retirement. He says he wants to come back part-time.
Thank you so very much for your service, and God bless you in your retirement.
Next, we will recognize recognize William Mayfield from Solid Waste.
How do you do? And you brought your better half with you today.
He
Thank
does
you.
have his better half.
Smart man.
We are here tonight to honor your retirement and service with the city of Conway. We have a resolution, and it's honoring William J. Mayfield. Whereas William J. Mayfield was employed with the city of Conway on February 17, 2003 as a heavy equipment operator 1. He was promoted in 2004 to a heavy equipment operator 2. William Mayfield would arrive early every day and stay until all tasks were finished. He has been dependable and loyal to his department and his fellow coworkers. And whereas after having suffered with COVID-19, he has decided that he will spend his time with his wife, his children, and his grandchildren. Whereas William Mayfield retired from his employment with the city of Conway as of November 1st. It is resolved that the Conway City Council does hereby bestow honor and recognition upon you, William Mayfield. We wish you many happy years of retirement.
Thank you so much for your service, and we certainly do wish you many happy years. God bless you.
Go forth and multiply.
It's Kevin Chestnut and David. Okay, we have 2 other employees that have retired that were unable to attend tonight, but I would like to recognize them also. The first one being Kevin Chestnut, our Public Works Director. Whereas Kevin Chestnut was employed by the city of Conway on October 21st, 2013 as a Public Works Director. Kevin leading the charge for better, more efficient, and more modern infrastructure. Kevin reassured that the city's stormwater and streets networks could accommodate not just for our current residents, but for the prepared for the massive growth that we have. Kevin spent countless hours and days preparing and responding to natural disasters, those that included the ice storm of 2014, the Hurricane Joaquin in 2015, Hurricane Matthew in 2016, and Hurricane Florence in 2018. He assured that the city was as prepared as possible, working nonstop, and then he would volunteer to fill sandbags. Kevin, and that was after working many hours in the Emergency Operations Center. His compassion for the city of Conway residents leave a lasting impression. Kevin put the city in a state of readiness for the challenges of tomorrow. His determined approach to resolve any problem, no matter how impossible, inspired his staff and his coworkers. His challenging resolve to consider all sides of capital projects made certain that they would go off without an issue. He made his teammates and friends better employees and people just by being around him. Whereas Kevin Chestnut retired from his employment as of October 1st, 2020. And it is resolved that the city council wishes him well in his years of dedicated service and his happy retirement.
In case Kevin is listening, we certainly wish him the very best and Godspeed.
We certainly do, and I do hope he is listening. We also have a retirement resolution for David Hutchinson. Whereas David Hutchinson was employed by the city of Conway on August 13, 2012 as a firefighter 1. He was promoted to firefighter 2 on November 11, 2013, and to a fire sergeant on May 21, 2015. Whereas David Hutchinson was a first responder at the Pentagon on September 11, 2001, with the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority. and he has served 40 years in fire service combined. Whereas David Hutchinson retired from employment with the city of Conway as of June 4, 2020. And we do recognize David for his dedicated service and wish him well in his retirement years.
Thank you, and God bless you, David Hutchinson, as well. We thank all of our long-term employees for their invaluable service. We honor them this evening, and our prayers are that they have long, full lives that follow them after retirement. God bless them all. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mayor, we did not take pictures of the gentleman retiring.
Thank you, Mr. White. Thank you, June. Item D is a special event request for an ice skating rink from Conway Downtown Alive. Ms. Howard? How do you do?
Before we talk about the event at hand, I just want to say thank you so much for your continued support with all of our events during these challenging times. Restaurant Week, Ghost Walk, working on Holiday Open House, the golf cart parade this past weekend. So I thank you for your support. It's been outstanding. So after Christmas, we are moving through. We want to bring to downtown Conway an ice skating rink. It is January 15th through 18th. As you'll see here, the map shows the indicated area of the rink itself is the blue section, which is the parking lot located beside the Conway Planning Department. And the grassy area adjacent to that, the former police station lot, would be used for tables, restrooms, the ice shack, that type of thing. Some food vendors. That's really it. I mean, we're running for 4 days, Friday through a Monday, noon to 10ish. And we just think this would be a great economic driver for downtown. We think it would bring people for not only this event, but we have something else planned with it that would bring people into town the 10 days before to access a discount for coming to the ice skating rink. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Is there anything else on this one? No.
I have a single question.
Mhm.
Is it too late to learn?
Yes.
Well, once you pay your admission, you're good for as long as you can take it. So, yeah.
But I will have to pay admission each day, is that correct?
Yes, it'll be
Okay.
a flat fee each day.
Okay, Mr. White?
The ice itself, how is that going to be done?
Yeah. So this is an artificial ice rink. It's not real ice, it's artificial. So it's acrylic panels that they use a solution on top of to glide. For better or for worse, most folks here in South Carolina do not or have not skated on real ice, so you'll be fine. It'll be fine. But it's a 40 by 100, so it's a large size rink. And they do events all over the country.
Mr. Goldman, was your hand up earlier?
It was, but I'm in no rush. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hillary, you mentioned coming into town ahead of time, shopping downtown. Can you elaborate on the opportunity there?
Yeah. So what we'd like to do is offer a discount coupon that is available with a qualifying purchase at any participating downtown shop the 10 days advance of the ice skating rink opening. So this makes people hopefully come to downtown Conway twice, first to access that coupon and purchase whatever they need at our local businesses, and then they would return to skate. So hopefully they'll get 2 visits for every person, family coming to the ice skating rink.
Awesome. Mr. Hubbard?
I think you answered my question with the acrylic ice, but there's no danger of somebody breaking through the ice and drowning. I'm asking for a friend.
You'll be okay.
Wait until you see my lid.
Anybody else? Ms. Howard, I think it's a lovely idea. I know a lot of people will have great fun. I'll have fun watching. I don't want to trust it at this point. But thank you for such a great idea. And I guess we'll now, Mr. Goldfinch.
I'll move that we approve the special event request, but before I do that, I want to say something about the golf, because I was going to say this at the end, but since you're here, the golf cart parade, that was amazing. And I've been thinking about, how all afternoon, how to articulate how I feel about that, other than disappointed, because last Sunday, 8 days ago, when we started putting our golf cart together, I was like, we're going to win this thing. We've got this thing. We're putting so much effort into this. We're going to win. And then we pulled up and I'm like, crap. We're not going to win, but it was a lot of fun. And to see the community involvement and the people, it was just a great feeling. And so I hope that this is something that we continue to do. I certainly hope so. But thank you to you and your staff and all the volunteers. It takes a lot of people to do something like that. And of course, our public safety to, participate.
Outstanding work from them.
It was just so cool. If you missed it, you missed a lot. And, but it's like us Gamecock fans say, there's always next year. So I'm looking forward to, I know what the bar is next year. So we're going to work on it. Thank you.
Mr. Hyman.
If that was his motion, then I'll second it.
Thank you so much. And if this is the only chance I'll get to say this in your presence, I just need to echo a little bit of what Mr. Goldfinch has said. I just hope that you, the police department, and your staff are ready to just multiply that by some number next year. The buzzword that I heard the entire day was wait till next year. So I think that you opened up a new opportunity. It's a way for Conway to shine. It's a way for Conway residents and visitors alike to just have fun for a change. It's a really good addition to particularly the times in which we live now. I thank you so much. It was enormous. I never thought I'd win, even with Jane Mackey's design, but at any rate, all of it was just beyond my imagination. Ms. Thames?
I just wanted to piggyback on his second topic, and that of the Gamecocks. The first half of Clemson ball game Saturday, I really felt like a Gamecock. Thankfully, I don't have to wait till next year. Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor.
All right. Any other comments before we call?
I'll say, and on behalf of what everybody said, Adam and I thank y'all.
Thank you for being here, Chauncey. Thank you.
Absolutely. And now the vote. All in favor of the ice skating rink in January 2021 with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much and best wishes with this event as well. You don't have to leave if you don't want to. Item C, a discussion on outdoor dining and sidewalk cafes. Ms. Hyman.
Yes, you may remember I brought this forward a few months ago for discussion. When in the past 6 months with COVID, staff has been working with restaurant owners to allow outdoor dining to meet those requirements. In some cases, that has met our ordinance that allows outdoor dining on private property, but in a couple cases, it makes more sense for them to locate on the actual city property. When I brought this to you before, the discussion was that council was interested in continuing that even when the state of emergency was over and working with these businesses to find outdoor dining locations. So staff has worked on revisions to our ordinance to allow what we call a shared space, which would be a private restaurant owner using city property for outdoor dining. But with that, they'd have certain requirements they'd have to meet. They'd have to not only submit to the planning department, but also get council approval and insurance. So that's what this ordinance is. It's bringing it back to you for review. If council chooses to move forward with it, it will still need to go back to planning commission and then back before you for 2 readings. With this ordinance, we also cleaned it up a little bit. We realized it was a little cumbersome and some folks had difficulty figuring out what they needed to do. So while we were adding the shared space requirements, we also cleaned up some of the other requirements as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions? You've apparently done a real fine job. You've given us great clarity and direction. So this is a discussion.
Yes.
Mr. Hyman,
I was just gonna say, I read over it. I think it's a great idea. The easier we can make it for the restaurant owners, I think the better. I would think that moving forward with this, I know that this is just discussion and not for first reading. I'm all for that.
Mr. White.
On item number 20 about the alcohol sales, that's my concern.
Sure.
On D, it says alcoholic beverage may not be removed from the premises and no alcohol sold off premises may be brought into a dining area. How are we gonna control that?
That's just something, it's a standard requirement. We'll just control it as much as we can, anything.
Not that I'm against that, just
Yeah,
to say it. Just
right.
to say it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I just comment that I think it's in keeping with the spirit of what downtown Conway is all about. We've seen just a resurgence in energy, in beauty and fun, and that whole new hip style that is becoming how we're identified these days.
Right.
One of our staff members shared with me some comments about something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that being the jack-o'-lanterns downtown. A neighboring city, just a Facebook group commenting, and they went on and on and on and on about how lovely, how cool, how fun downtown Conway is. And I think that these changes are just going to increase that whole new persona of what downtown Conway is, and will help us with our growth and support of our local businesses. I don't see any problem with it at all. And I thank you. Mr. Hyman?
There was one question I had, and it was on number 17. Talking about the separation. The only question I had on that is you've got some areas, the two areas that really kind of had me thinking were next to Crooked Oak and next to Bonfire. Crooked Oak, the same owners that own the building that Crooked Oak is in, own that vacant lot. And it just seemed like it would be kind of weird to put up a barrier
Right.
between it and the
And the pedestrian traffic.
right.
Okay. And that's something, if we wanted to
The same thing with Bonfire.
revise that. Yeah, and Bonfire does, seems like they do have
Well,
some.
they paved that area, but I think that area is city that they paved. But anyway, the thought is it's already kind of separated.
Right, right. Well, that, we can look to revise that language.
It's off the beaten path.
Right.
Anyone else? Well, if there's no further discussion, hopefully you've got a sense of direction, and best wishes as we firm this up.
All right, thanks. I'll take it to Planning Commission at the December meeting, so you'll see it back before you in January.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item 6 is public input. I'm aware that there is one person here, Ms. Kelly McKeegan, who's here to talk about our mask ordinance. Ms. McKeegan, please come in. How are you? Ms. McKeegan, we're delighted you're here. We don't have much in-person input anymore. This is just that this isn't going to be interactive. We're just going to listen, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak to us. And if you need to gauge your timing, there's a monitor that you can watch, and we'll intently listen as you speak. Thank you for being here.
Can I take this off?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I know a few of you guys, but my name is Kelly McMeekin.
I'm
and
sorry.
I'm here to express my concerns about mask mandates. I represent numerous people that feel the same. I first would like to say that I respect your views and reasons on wearing a mask. I understand the position you are in for having to make these hard decisions for our community and families is very difficult. I appreciate your time and effort in trying to make our city safe. When this virus started, it was scary, and not knowing how to control it was frightening, and leaders and citizens were scared. The media piped into our homes country shutdowns, deaths, and cases. The unknown made most people fear. At one time, we were told masks would not work, then to wear the mask, and then it was mandated in July. We're now in November. The extension of this mandate is in question. The voices of people complaining about others not wearing a mask are outnumbering those voices that oppose it. Those that oppose it are just trying to have a normal life, anything to get back to work, anything to just get the kids back in school. People are giving up their rights, all for a normal life. People are wearing a mask to please others because many have been shamed to wearing them. If masks work and you're wearing one, then you should be fine. And speaking to concerned citizens that have tried to get an answer on why we keep the mandate and every other COVID requirement, the answer comes back about emergency funding. I called SCEMD and spoke with Derek Becker, the Chief of Public Information for South Carolina Emergency Management, and he said in order to receive funding, we do not need a mask mandate. Under COVID Relief Fund question on the SCEMD website, the question says, must a stay-at-home order or other public health mandates, and I'm putting mask mandates under this, be in effect in order for a government to provide assistance to small businesses using payments from the fund? The answer is no. So such assistance may be provided using amounts received from the fund in the absence of a requirement to close businesses, and the relevant government determines that such expenditures are necessary in response to the public health emergency. So if we are concerned how this would affect funding, just in this example, then no, emergency funding can still be received even without a mask mandate. In this mask mandate, we are relying on people to wear clean masks properly, which we have all seen is not possible. The amount of carbon monoxide consistently being breathed in is a hazard in itself. Where you think you may be covering yourself by mandating this, you're wrong. Long-term use could soon take in effect, and lawsuits could happen due to mandating the mask. Keeping an open mind and creating awareness of washing hands and optional mask wearing is important. The views and acceptance for certain treatments are becoming widely used. Cases do not equal deaths anymore. We should be happy where we are today. Making and keeping this optional mask wearing will set the tone for optional COVID-19 vaccine. This has not been approved nor mandated yet. You have the power to set that tone. Americans have always had options. If you want me to respect your view and reasons on wearing the mask, then you need to respect my views and reasons on not wearing one. Right now, I don't know the expressions on your face, nor do I know how you're responding to this due to your mask. And yet we're all pretty separate. I will end with this. Follow your faith and not your fears. There is no fear in the mighty and sweet name of Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you, and I sincerely apologize for mispronouncing your name. I
That's-
think that's a horrible thing to do. I didn't read
That's okay.
closely enough.
I get it. I get it a lot.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you be certain that there's no one else that's waiting to be heard? Or, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, finally, has anyone called or emailed you with any information that you would present on their behalf in terms of public input?
I've received nothing.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion, Mr. Hubbard? Thank you, sir. Is there a second? That's right.
Well, I guess I'll second that.
We've got a properly seconded motion to close public input at this time. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Item 7, for consideration. Consideration of extension of the City of Conway State of Emergency Ordinance.
That is separate from the mask ordinance. That is correct.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Hello, everybody.
It just
Before
didn't say
you-
who. That's why I didn't say who.
Before you first is the consideration of the extension of the state of emergency. We've been in a state of emergency since March. As Ms. McMeekin stated, it does not necessarily tie our funding to a mask ordinance. It does somewhat tie it to a state of emergency declaration. Also tied to a state of emergency declaration is our ability to be able to react to the ever-changing challenges of the pandemic. One of the ways we've done that is to allow for, as Mary Catherine mentioned a moment ago, expansion of certain ordinances and relaxation of certain things to help our businesses survive during the pandemic, such as the outdoor dining that the Trestle enjoys on Norman Alley. If we have the state of emergency go away, the ability of me to be able to manage that sort of thing goes away with it. And we're back to the ordinances on the books, which would prevent that from happening. We have a number of safeguards put in place at our city buildings, including this building, that allow us to make sure that we're able to continue to have sporting events, indoor and outdoor, for our youth to enjoy. Without the state of emergency, we lose that ability to be able to limit the public capacity of buildings like this and the ability to safeguard those safeties that allow those events to happen. They are separate. The two things are separate on the agenda tonight. The extension of the state of emergency and the extension of the mask mandate, and that is intentional. The state of emergency is something that we feel very strongly that we continue to allow us to be able to adapt to the ever-changing realities of this pandemic. And that is what is before you first. I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have on the state of emergency. And I'll keep it separate from the mask mandate, which will be next.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Emmerich, there seems to be none. So at that point, I guess I'll call a vote.
But you need a motion first.
Yeah, well, of course. Mr. White,
Mayor, I move that we approve the extension of the emergency,
state of emergency.
state of emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Hyman,
I was just going to second Mr. White's motion.
thank you. We have a properly seconded motion to approve extension of our state of emergency until December 8th at 9 a.m., which is probably the day after our first meeting in the month of December.
And I'm sorry, before you call for the vote, it is shortened window from what we normally would do. And that is because if we extend it the same length we normally do, it will put it to expire before we meet again in January because of the holiday schedule. So that's why it's expiring in 30 days instead of the typical 60. So I'm sorry to interrupt, and I did not bring that up earlier.
That's not a problem at all. Is there any discussion at this time? Mr. Goldfinch.
Thank you, Mayor. Adam, is there and I agree, I mean, but when you say a state of emergency, we think there's a hurricane coming, or there's a forest fire, or, an emergency. And while this is urgent, it's not an emergency. My question is, why it's important, it's not an emergency. Is there another term that can be used, or is this,
This is
dictated
it.
under state law?
This is what it is. It is. And I would beg to differ a little bit between a matter of importance or urgency and a matter of emergency. In the last 2 weeks, we have had 8 staff members test positive, including 2 department heads. We had 3 in our solid waste department. If we'd had 4 in our solid waste department, we would not have been able to pick up garbage on Friday. That's an emergency to me. That is what will cause all of your phones to ring because garbage is backed up. That would be what would cause us to have overtime on a Saturday to pick up garbage that we could not pick up on a Friday. It's different than a hurricane where we've got trees blowing down on people's cars, but in the extent that it affects the ability of us to do our daily job, it is a state of emergency. If I have 5 people out of my fire department at once, I may not be able to get to a fire.
Okay, all right. I'm with you. I agree with you, and thank you. You made that very clear. I don't know. And I agree. I'm gonna vote for it, but we just keep doing it. And his headline's gonna be, Conway declares state of emergency. Well, I just didn't know if there's another term to call it, because it's like, I don't know. I mean, I get people asking all the time, and I try to explain it, and I'm going to use your explanation because I thought it was good.
Yeah,
Because that makes
we were this
sense.
close to not being able to pick up trash last week.
Well, that makes
That's
sense.
that's the answer right there. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? That being said, I think we have a motion on the floor.
Yes.
All right, relative to that motion, all in favor of extending the existing state of emergency, which is probably what the headline will say, an extension. Please indicate your preference with a show of hands. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you all. Item C is consideration of the 2021, Item B is consideration of the extension of the City of Conway mask ordinance. Mr. Emmerich.
I just realized that I'm up here for a little longer than I thought, so I'm glad I brought the rest of my packet with me. The mask mandate is something you all are familiar with. I can go through as much detail as you'd like or not. We put this in place back in July, and the reason we did was because we had numbers that were spiking throughout the county, throughout the state, throughout the country, and the CDC came out with recommendations that a mask mandate would assist us, or wearing a mask would assist us with the three-prong attack on the virus, which are social distancing, hand hygiene, and wearing a mask. The CDC has not changed their guidelines on any of those things since July. Despite there being a lot of information out there that says that masks don't work, that masks cause more problems than they save, the CDC is that entity out there that is out there to safeguard us and lead us through the pandemic. They still recommend that masks be worn. It is up to you as a public policy body to decide if it should be mandated. And that is the extent of my presentation, unless you ask me any questions and follow up.
But your recommendation is that we do approve. Is that correct?
Yes, and if we do approve, that we start being more rigorous in our enforcement of it.
Thank you. Mr. White.
The question I was going to ask you answered last time about the 60 days. Why not go to January? And you answered it now, so I won't have to ask, but I had to say it.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Goldfinch.
When you say be more rigorous, can you elaborate?
Sure. And I'll be specifically frank. Every time I go into Speedway, which is my favorite gas station, 80% of the customers in there are not wearing a mask. It has been illegal now since July. The problem we have is when I call Chief Long and say 80% of the customers at Speedway aren't wearing a mask, when he goes to respond, the customers that are no longer wearing a mask when he goes are different than the ones that were there when I was there. So we either need to be uniform in stepping up or start writing tickets. That's what I mean. We need to start writing tickets because there is a segment of our population that is not following the mandate that is there. And we've been very gentle and very, very nice and very educational in telling people that you have to wear a mask, and they go to their car and get one and come back in. But they knew when they came in, they had to wear a mask and they didn't wear one. And they're flaunting the mask mandate because that's what they're going to do until we start writing tickets. So we can renew it. If we renew it, we need to start writing tickets. That's what my recommendation would be.
We'll hear from Ms. Timms, Mr. Hyman, and Mr. White in that order.
I was just going to say, I think perhaps the fact that we have not been writing tickets or making a big noise about the fact that in some way enforcing this has led people to think that it's not that important. And I disagree totally. The fact that we put this in place when things were spiking, things are spiking now worse than they ever have been. It might not be because of masks, but certainly anything that we can do to help. I think any individual should be willing to try and to keep it up. Is it a pain? Yes, it's hard to do. But if we want to shut down schools, period, let's take this mask ordinance off. That's all it would do, shut them down. I think we have to set the tone for this. I keep saying that, and it's never more true. Hospitals are crying for it. Doctors and nurses are worn out. They're running double shifts, and I don't even know how, and that's going to lead to mistakes, and it's got to, all of us, we can't keep this pace up. We've got to try to get a handle on it. This is our small contribution of each individual, if you ask me.
My concerns are this, our police force have a lot better things to do than write tickets for a mask ordinance. And unless we're gonna budget for 20 police officers to go writing tickets for mask ordinances, if you wanna hear an public outcry, start writing people tickets. And I guarantee you, every one of our phones will blow up. And I can tell you that's gonna happen. And as far as the stuff with the schools, there's nothing that says that a school can't mandate a mask. Just because we're not, doesn't mean that, I've been mandating a mask when you walk in my office since March. I understand and I'm conflicted over it because part of me says we need to keep the mask mandate. And part of me says we've got a mask mandate and the numbers are going up. So obviously something's not doing what it's supposed to do. I agree with you. When I walk into places, there are people that are not wearing masks, but it's been like that since July. And when it comes down to it, if we're going to have our police to start writing tickets, that's somebody calling our bluff, and I'm not so sure if that's the right thing that we need to do.
Please respond.
A couple things. Number one, when we first passed the mask mandate back in July, our compliance levels at a lot of places were very low. At Food Lion, at Walmart, at Lowe's, it was very low. It is nearly 100% at those places now because we've gone out and we've educated, and those places have backed us in our mask mandates. The employees at these places, by and large, are within 100% compliance, with a few exceptions, and that is different than it was back in July. And I think at certain places, like gas stations, that number has been dropping instead of increasing. And part of the reason we haven't written, I don't know that we've written any tickets. Part of the reason we haven't written any or many tickets is because we were doing our best to keep your phones from ringing about the people that were outraged that we passed it in the first place. And then rather we were educating them and asking them to go get their masks. I cannot see us pulling police force off the street that are responding to an emergency or that are responding to a traffic accident or something like that. The mask would be secondary to that. But we have a mask mandate in place right now, and we should be writing tickets right now. When they're not wearing a mask, they're flaunting their ability to get away with something that you guys put in place. They're doing exactly what you told them not to do. And if we ask them nicely to do it, and they won't do it when we're mandating it, we know they won't do it if we ask them nicely. So it's either it's an all in or an all out at this point for me. Either we pass it again and we do what we're supposed to do and write tickets, or we get rid of it and ask people nicely and not expect them to do it.
Just, if I might, I'm going to go back to Mr. White, Mr. Hubbard, and then you, Mr. Hyman, just to make sure everybody gets a chance to be heard.
My issue is there anything in the ordinance that says the businesses could be fined for not mandating them to?
Only for if their employees are not wearing masks, can the business get in trouble. Otherwise, they are not required to enforce against their customers. That is our job.
Mr. Hubbard, and then Mr. Hyman.
Okay, and I'm not anti-mask. Good God, I can't even talk. I'm wearing one. I require people that are in my agency to wear a mask. They're old folks, and most of them have them under their nose. But what do you do with a ticket? If we get a ticket, if somebody writes me a ticket, and I'm gonna ask an attorney, is it enforceable?
It's enforceable as an ordinance, but whether or not we're gonna, make people show up to court, which is something we
Well, I read this ordinance. There's 4 pages of it. And I am notorious when people come to me and say, well, y'all did this. I say, well, we did this, but there's no but. If you don't agree with every word of those 4 pages, we shouldn't pass this. If y'all haven't read it, read it. I'm confused. Who enforced it? Who is the responsible party? You mentioned Food Line. The day we passed it the first time, Food Line called me. They said, we can't do this. We will not do it. I said, we just put a sign on your door. I've had a friend of mine call me and say, y'all please pass this, because I've got little old ladies that come in my business that won't wear a mask. I said, so if we pass it a second time, are they going to wear a mask? I think that what we've done so far is everybody knows they're supposed to, and y'all, God, please wear a mask. But for us to say you got to, I just think it's feel-good legislation.
Mr. Hyman, Ms. Timms,
I was just gonna say, you know,
and then I'll put myself in.
it was a little different when the governor had mandates as far as like dining, where it was operating at only whatever it was, 40%, 50%. But now you wear a mask to your table to go out to dinner, and then there's people 2 feet away from you eating dinner as well. And I mean, it's kind of, you know, that makes zero sense. I mean, I'm not saying, again, I'm not anti-mask either. It's just, there's some of the things and some of the things we're doing as far as the masks don't make a whole lot of sense.
Ms. Timms, yours truly, Mr. Hubbard.
I think we've lost sight of the importance here. The importance is not whether somebody gets a ticket or whether we enforce it or what we do about it. The importance is that we could be, this is our small part. This is saving lives. It's making people feel easier to go out. People won't be able to go out at all that are frightened to not wear a mask if the people around them are not wearing them. And they feel a little more comfort. I think that's why we see more people getting out now, is because more people are wearing masks. Whether it does any good or not, I think history's going to tell us that. Whether we write a ticket for it or not is not the problem. I don't care if they call me, I'll tell them that.
And I just want to echo what I just heard. The CDC is the agency that we've relied on forever to give us guidance when there is a critical decision to be made about health and a health crisis. Physicians and scientists alike agree that there is benefit to wearing a mask. When I read my mail, I hear from clearly 10 times the number of people supporting mandating masks than I do from people who would rather not be bothered. And if that were not true, I would still have to vote my own conviction and speak my own conviction. We've come this far, and we're at the second surge, as I understand it. We're right in the middle of it. I read that Lancaster schools recently went back to complete virtual classes because of the incident of COVID-19 among their staff and their teachers. We're at a critical moment. I think this is the last chance we have to help COVID not be a part of our permanent lives. And if we stood for it up to this point, I think this is a horrible time to let it go. I think we need it now more than ever. I think this may be the hurdle. This may be the last time. This may be our getting to a point where the numbers actually begin to reduce. I think if we've got a right to put this kind of mandate in place, then I think it's imperative that we continue to do so. I believe you're next, Mr. Hubbard.
Yes.
Then Mr. Goldfinch.
Me first?
Yes.
Okay. Gene, thank you for that. I respect that, but I do not believe people are wearing masks. You're saying people feel better about going out because other people are wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of our mandate? And how about the people who
Because
aren't,
people are
the
wearing
people who aren't wearing them, or they don't wear them because they're not going with our mandate? And with that being said, you know, CD says it's 3-pronged. Are we going to mandate social distancing? We're going to mandate hand washing? Where does it end?
I think the buck stops here.
Mr. Goldfinch.
Yeah, I'm conflicted too. I believe in so much of what Ms. McMeekin spoke to earlier, but we did go down this path, albeit reluctantly, but down this path. And, you know, it's probably been one of the most controversial, one of the most undoubtedly controversial things we've done, because it brings into question what is our role as a council. You know, I've said it before, but shame on the governor for not stepping up and doing this on a statewide level when aside from CDC guidelines, you've got DHEC putting out, because here's the thing, y'all, we don't have a city of Conway epidemiologist or a virologist or, anybody with an MD behind their name. We have to rely on the state, and we have to rely on CDC guidelines telling us that this is what we think you should be doing. And so I think the governor has said, well, I don't think I have the authority to mandate a mask ordinance, but if you cities want to, go right ahead. And yeah, I mean, I'm conflicted because Ms. McMeekin brings up a number of very valid points. But we have gone down this road, and I think we are at a critical juncture. I would guess that there are probably a handful of places in this city where there are large groups of people together, i.e. restaurants and bars that are not following the social distances. And I frequent these places, these restaurants and so forth, but I would hazard to speculate the balance of it is in markets within our community that we have no control over, i.e. large family gatherings, parties at people's homes, parades outside. I don't know. So I am conflicted, but I do think at this point, with the vaccine in sight, and Dr. Fauci has said he thinks there's a really good chance that we'll have something by the end of the year. We're this close. I hate wearing this thing, but I don't see where at this point we shouldn't just sort of finish the race. I think that's where I'm at. And I don't know that I agree with writing tickets at the Speedway, but if, there are 150 people shoulder to shoulder at a restaurant downtown and nobody's enforcing anything, then perhaps it's time to shake a stick. But beyond that, I don't know. Let's finish the race and be done. And I'll get our vaccines the first of next year and look forward to a new year. I think that's all I've got.
Mr. White.
If there's no more discussions, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the extension of the city's mask ordinance.
Thank you. Ms. Timms.
I'll second the motion.
We now have before us a properly seconded motion to extend the mask ordinance. I believe everyone has had their say, certainly has had opportunity to, so I'll call a vote. All in favor of extending the city's mask mandate ordinance, please show your hand at this time. And I count 5 people for Mr. White, Ms. Timms, Mr. Goldfinch, Mr. Hyman, and yours truly, and 1 abstaining, not abstaining, but all opposed. If you'd show your hand, please. Mr. Hubbard opposes. So the motion carries. Thank you all so much. Finally, item C, or final on this list, is consideration of the 2020 City Council meeting dates. Mr. Emery.
You have before you our schedule that we used this year translated into next year's calendar. Every year we have some discussion during the year about whether we should meet twice in certain months. Those months are typically when there's a holiday that interferes with our normal council meeting schedule. We typically meet only once in March because we've got the budget retreat during the second meeting. And we typically meet only once in December because the second meeting in December, it typically interferes with the Christmas holiday. We've had concern raised about May in the past for the Memorial Day holiday, for July with the 4th of July holiday, and with September for the September Labor Day holiday. And sometimes we have questions about November with the Thanksgiving holiday, although that does not usually impact each other. It is before you tonight to determine the calendar, whether you want to go with the same calendar that we have this year, which is 2 meetings per month, except for March and December, or you'd like to adjust it from that schedule.
Mr. Goldfinch.
We used to not meet in those months, and then what would happen, invariably, we would be slammed with a lot of something. And so we went back to doing it. And so I would move that we have the meetings if we're in a situation and staff sees that, perhaps they can compress that in and we don't need to, then we can always, cut one here or there, but I'd rather have them, would be my motion. So I would move that we approve the calendar.
And that would be with meetings starting at 4 PM instead of the old 5:30 as
Oh,
well. I'm
yes, sir.
sorry, I forgot to mention that. Was that part of your motion?
It was.
Okay.
Mr. White?
I just had another observation is that the July 5th meeting, could we not necessarily cancel the meeting, but move it to another date? Like say that Wednesday rather than
A lot of people
Tuesday,
might
you know.
turn that into a long weekend. Maybe Tuesday the 6th as an alternative. Does anybody have an issue?
That's what I'm getting at,
Right.
because, that's,
Wayne, what you think?
Yeah, I was trying to pull it back up.
Ms. Kim?
I agree with William that we did ourselves no favor when we cut out too many meetings because we really got a backlog and that may or may not happen, but you don't know that. But another reason that I think it's important that we consistently meet, not to say that if we took the month of July out or something, I mean, I think people got accustomed to it. But this thing of every other or third month doing something different, I don't know how people would respond. They wouldn't know when we were meeting and when we weren't. And I think it's important that whether they come or whether they don't, it's important to know so they could contact us about issues and things.
Anyone else?
Did you change your motion, Mr. Goldfinch? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
To incorporate the July 6th meeting date instead of the July 5th meeting date?
That just happens to be my motion.
And do you support that, Mr. White, in your seconding
of
the
course I
motion?
would, sir.
Thank you so much. So the motion on the floor is to accept the proposed council meeting schedule as set forth with the exception of changing the Monday, July 5th date to Tuesday, July 6th. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, please, with a show of hands.
I'm confused. You said we are accepting the,
Well, the motion changed on one date, and that is changing Monday,
Yeah,
July
okay,
5th.
other than that, it stays the same
Yes,
as
ma'am.
Tuesday. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Everything else is
Okay.
as written.
Then I'm-
Okay, thank you. So let's see that show of hands, please. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. At this time, we will have you continue to stand, Mr. Emmerich,
All right.
and give the city administrator's report.
And I'm going to be brief in my report so I can give some time to some other folks that are here tonight. I wanted to first report that 4th Avenue resurfacing is now complete. It seems like 2 weeks ago, I was telling you it was going to happen, and it seems like a month ago that it was completed, but it has only been 2 weeks. We had a few hiccups. I think everyone can agree that it's a relief to have it done. Yesterday, CCU's national ranking was moved up to 15 after a big win against Georgia State. This makes
We're going up to number 10.
this makes Coastal the highest ranked Sun Belt team ever.
Wow.
And I think it's our 3rd year in the Sun Belt Conference. Today, Timmy's crew put away fall and they hit Christmas hard. During the next few weeks, we're going to transform once again into a Hallmark Christmas. Hallmark will be jealous when we're done. The bridge lights will be up by this time tomorrow. Before any of you are up, the bridge lights will be up tomorrow. So, and they're going back to the fun garland ones. So they'll be awesome. To sing Timmy's praises again, last week, his committee of volunteers and staff succeeded in making Keep Conway Beautiful an official affiliated program of Keep America Beautiful. This is a major accomplishment. Took more than a year of hard work and dedication, and it opens the city up to receive a lot more grant money for both litter prevention and beautification. And it gives us a standalone program here in the city. And now I'm going to deviate a little bit from normal. We've got a special presentation from Jamie Rhodes in our police department.
Hello, hello.
Madam Mayor,
Absolutely.
honorable members of council, Mr. Emmerich, distinguished employees, everybody. It is good to be home, and we are glad to be here tonight. I am standing with 3 of the finest soldiers that I've ever served with. Their steadfast dedication to service, commitment to excellence, and knowledge of their jobs guaranteed mission success for us during Operation Spartan Shield. And it is my privilege to stand here with them in front of you to tell you thank you for your service. Thank you for your support of us and your commitment to your employees in the city of Conway. 14 months is a long time. During that time, we lost loved ones, lost mentors with Odell Cochran, very good man. Relationships were formed, relationships were changed. We missed home, but y'all still supported us. And for that, I want to say thank you. So it is my honor and privilege to stand before you with these 3 fine soldiers to present to you, Madam Mayor, members of council, this American flag that flew over Camp Buren, Kuwait on April 15th, 2020 in the name of the city of Conway. You'll notice that our names are etched on this and the 2-word slogan that we always use, Conway Strong, because we persevered. Harsh weather, poor living conditions, the threat of anything going off at any time. And we did get alerted 3 times and activated twice. So yeah, some of us went in harm's way a couple times. So it is my privilege to present this to you and say thank you. No matter where we go, no matter what we do, we are and always will be Conway Strong. What would you like?
If I might just say that on behalf of this council and the residents of Conway, South Carolina, you make us so very proud. I honor you for your dedication and work, for your contribution to humanity and to the world, and certainly to this community. And we're so happy that you're here safely back in our arms. May God forever bless you. You are great. And we thank you so much for making us look great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Next up is going to be Ashley Smith to talk about Celebration of Lights.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm telling you, Ashley.
All right. I want to give you guys an update about the Christmas lights. And I prepared, or me and Jean prepared a little statement so I don't get off track and say something I shouldn't say.
Your hairline just moved.
All right. Okay. As I promised a couple weeks ago, our department has made the celebration of lights one of our priorities. Okay. With advisement from our attorney and administration, we put a contract together and we present it to a third party, who we all know who that is, who was seeking to set up and operate this Conway celebration of lights. The third party did not wish to agree to the means that we felt necessary to protect the event and our materials at the time. So we didn't think that they could handle to managing that event. We thought it was too big for them. This event is important to our city and our residents, and we will keep it as a tradition. The Parks and Recreation Department, we've already begun setting up the displays. As you see, this is what we've done. BJ Tompkins, our superintendent, and Timmy Williams' crew, our guys have all worked together and to make this a special event. This is 1 week's work, what we've done. So they've been on it. They're excited about it. There will be a couple of things that are different about it. The path for the celebration lights, it'll end at the intersection of Elm and Marina Drive, so it won't turn down going to the marina. With that, we won't have to shut down any roads. The Shriners Club, they can have their parties and it won't shut anything down. What we're also proposing, with the way things have gone, how our residents have been struggling with COVID and everything, we want to not charge an admission fee and, let these residents enjoy a little Christmas. And with that, we wouldn't have to pay overtime. We wouldn't have to have people there. Our staff, we could monitor what's going on. The show would still be as good as ever. They would drive through, then they can turn and go downtown. We'll have our Christmas at the PD lot. We'll have our trolley rods. We'll have the hot chocolate, everything that we've had last year there. I'm working with Hillary Howard on how to get Santa Claus and kids sitting, when you get pictures of Santa Claus, you normally sit in their lap. So we're trying to figure out something. We got something in the works, which we're excited about. But we're excited about it. We're looking to start December the 1st and run through December the 24th or until the cars aren't coming anymore. We found a tracker where we can find out how many cars are coming through to kind of give us an idea of what's going on down there. And again, we're just trying to make something for the citizens, especially after we were, I'm not going off script. I don't want to say anything. You say it later. You know what I'm talking about. You can get away with it. I might not can. So we're very disappointed in what happened, but we've been working hard, and it's going to be good. And that's my report on the lights. If you have any questions.
We'll certainly entertain questions, but if I might speak on what I hope is the thinking of this group, we have great confidence in you. We have great confidence in our staff. We haven't been disappointed before, and a little adjustment in plans is not something that worries us necessarily. So do what you do. You've always done it well. We have great expectations for this year as well.
Thank you.
Ms. Sims?
I think it's great that people can go through more than once. There's no charge. And I believe that this is a nice gift to the citizens of Conway. And I thank you for putting it together in spite of all the glitches.
And again, it's BJ Tompkins and Timmy Williams' crew. They've done tremendous.
Mr. Hubbard?
Ice cream.
We can do Eskimo pies.
You scream, we all scream.
We can do it.
Oh yeah, you have to go to the doctor after that.
After you scream.
He's not picking it up. William, if you want to.
I'm just trying to get out of here. Get in trouble.
Anyone else? Well, you've got us anxious for another beautiful holiday display, Christmas display, forget holiday. And we look forward to it, and we know it's in good hands.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got only one department report tonight from Lynn Smith.
Awesome. Lynn Smith, we're so glad to have you in a few ways, not the least of which is just simply that you're Lynn Smith.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's good to be back in front of you guys. I want to start by saying, without my report, that it was an honor to recognize retirees. It was because I take pride in learning our employees and getting to know our employees individually. So of course, it's an honor to recognize them when they retire. With that being said, it was my first time doing it, and my first time back here in front of you guys in 8 months. So it's my vow to do better each time. All right, and we'll get started. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what's been going on in human resources for September and October. We send out a flyer each month to employees through our BSNA. That's our new software. Employee self-service, and it generates a mass email to everyone. And we strive to do at least one health flyer each month. So for the month of September, it was Back to Basics, which was a back health flyer. In October, you got several emails about open enrollment. Because October was open enrollment month. In September, we also had our United Way campaign. The city did continue to be a pace setter. I was proud of that. We've been a pace setter for many years. However, our employee donations were down a little this month. This year, our goal was 10,000. We've always met and surpassed that in the past. This year, we were below that. But with it being a COVID year, overall, I think our employees did really well. We ended up with $7,202. October was a very busy month. We kind of got back into things and got everything pushing out. But of course, October 1st through the 31st was open enrollment for any changes. We had 42 employees to make changes through open enrollment. That number's a little low, but it's because this year is an off year and they didn't allow dental changes. And dental is the main change that employees like to make, or the life insurance changes. But we still had 42 employees to make changes. On October the 3rd, we had a Riverfront Park Revitalization Day, and we had 51 employees to participate that day. It was a great day. Got a lot done. I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures, but it was a good day. October the 9th, we had the United Way Day of Caring, and we had some employees out at the Erie County Council of Aging. We had 5 employees sign up. I think 4 employees ended up being there that day. I was not able to be there, and I was very sorry.
You were there in
But
spirit.
I was there in spirit. October the 16th, we had an American Red Cross blood drive here at the Rec Center, and we had 29 employees participate. That day was a little unorganized, I think, because the American Red Cross van or bus was here. The public thought it was open to the public, so we got a little behind, but they got it straightened up, and we had another American Red Cross blood drive on the 27th, on the 21st at Public Works, and on that day we had 27 employees participate. On the 16th, we had 29 employees participate.
And on the 27th, you would have had one more, but they denied me.
We had flu shots on October the 20th, and we had 92 employees participate with the flu shots. So that was good. I always like to see them take advantage of that. If anyone did miss out on that day, of course, you can do that at any of the local pharmacies or doctor's offices. We are currently in the process of doing blood screening. It was 2 days last week, 2 days this week, and we've had 132 employees sign up for that. October the 30th, last Friday, we had a fun day at the city. We had an employee costume contest. And we received 97 email votes from employees. And our winner was Amanda Hooper from Finance Department. And if you guys can see, this was her costume.
Wow.
She was the winner. Our first was Karina Goodson from Grounds and Maintenance. And she was a flower pot with flowers.
How cute.
Very good. And our second place was David Fassbender from the police department, and he was Ghostbusters. Also on that day, we exchanged within the departments, we paired departments, and I would like to take credit for this idea, but it was actually Nikki Goldman's idea from the court department. But I did help her push it out, and we paired departments with other departments of similar size, and they exchanged what they called boo baskets. And they were full of Halloween treats. And this is an example of the one that finance did for solid waste.
Wow. The entire table full?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, this was full of snacks, and then this also. And I thought these were really cute. This is from the fire department. And they had a witch theme, and they had public utilities. But it was a fun day on Friday, and everybody enjoyed, I think, the costume contest and the boo baskets. In November, we will have our CAP food drive. We're still working on, getting organized with CAPS and getting those dates together, but that's what we'll be doing in November. So that's kind of the fun stuff that we've been doing. And then I'd like to just kind of give you an update on the other work things that we've been doing. We've had 15 job postings. And of course, some of those postings may be for a police officer that includes several positions, but as far as postings, we've had 15 job postings. We have filled 5 positions from those 15 postings. We've got 3 offers that have been made, and we're working on orientation dates, new hire orientation. We are in the process of doing background checks on 2, and we are still reviewing and receiving on 5 of those job postings. To kind of give you an idea of what happens when we post a job, of course, we post that job on the website, the Workforce Center, Municipal Association. Occasionally we'll post with Indeed. So we put those job postings out, we advertise, we receive and scan every application that comes into the city. Then applications are reviewed by me, then I forward them to the department for them to review. They choose the candidates that they would like to interview. I schedule interviews, then we conduct the interviews. Then once the final candidates are chosen, we do background and reference checks. We do pre-employment physicals and drug screenings on our final candidates. And then we make an offer. Then we schedule them for new hire orientation. We have a day and a half of new hire orientation. Very proud of that. We've worked hard on that. Sometimes I'll have to bring it one time and maybe just let you guys see a brief overview of it, because we do very well with our new hire orientation. And then after all of that, we send out regret letters to everyone that was not chosen. We currently have 6 employees on Family Medical Leave Act. They are out because of either a health issue with themselves or an immediate family member of a spouse or a child. We have 14 new hires in the month of October from those job postings. And we have 4 retirees. Of course, 2 of those were recognized tonight, which was Kevin Chestnut, who retired on 10/1, and William Mayfield, who retired on 11/1. We also have 2 employees that have announced their retirement. Their retirement is in the future, but Selena Small with the police department, lieutenant, will be retiring. Her last day will be 12/31, with 1/1 being her effective date. Jane Mackey also has announced her retirement, and she will be retiring in January of 2021. We've had 8 employees that have left in the last month and a half. One of those being our public information officer. We've had a police officer, a solid waste equipment operator, a water meter technician, a trades worker 1 in utilities, a part-time fitness associate, a part-time athletic supervisor, and a community service officer in the police department. We currently have 5 workers' comp claims, and well, we have more than that, but in the last September and October, all of this is September, October numbers. We had a heat exhaustion claim on September the 9th. We had a pebble or a rock to hit an employee in the eye while they were out doing grounds maintenance. And on 9/8, we had a knee injury in the police department on 9/20. And we had an exposure that happened during an arrest. And we've had injuries from an automobile accident from August the 7th, but I included that because he is still not back to work at this point. Currently, we have 13 open positions, and those are our public information officer. We have 1 police corporal, 1 police sergeant, 4 police officers, 5 community service officers, and a senior records clerk. We have 1 firefighter position, and the next 3 are the ones that you most recently approved, which was the building inspector, the 2 building maintenance technicians, and a part-time administrative assistant. We have 2 solid waste equipment operator 1s open and 1 solid equipment operator 2. And we have, because we currently do not have a tennis center, we have a tennis coordinator position open and a city engineer position open. And last, I would just like to add that since I've been with the city 16 years, I've been in HR as a director since the FY 15-16 budget year. And we've seen a lot of growth I was actually just ran the numbers on it. I know we've grown, but until you actually sit down and actually look at the numbers, you don't realize how much. But in the 15-16 budget year, we were budgeted for 218 full-time employees and 30 part-time employees. We are currently budgeted for 277 full-time and 34 part-time. So Becky and I stay really busy trying to take care and get all of this stuff done, but we wouldn't change it for anything. We both love our job and we appreciate the opportunity to work with the employees. And that is it, unless you guys have questions.
Well, Lynn, I just want to thank you for such a comprehensive report. You sort of told us the good, the bad, and everything in between. But thank you for who you are and what you and Becky do. And you have our support. So just don't plan on doing anything different for a very long time, and we'll be happy.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Great to see you all.
Great to see you too, Lynn. Thank you for everything. Item 8 on the agenda is the city administrator's report. Or is
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. That's right. So now we'll do council input. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Goldfinch. I need help in this regard.
I have one request. My granddaddy was Mr. Goldfinch. I'm William.
Well, for this purpose.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we decided a long time ago to do this. If we decide against it, I'm good with it too.
I can think of some real creative stuff to call it.
That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, you might want to let us call you Mr. Goldfinch. So, Mr. Hyman, let's hear from you first,
Okay,
please.
Just briefly, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the golf cart parade was fantastic. I was not a participant, I was a watcher, and it was just great. And the best part about it, at least one of the really good things about it, at least I think, was that afterwards, my wife and I went down to Chauncey's and ate lunch, and the number of participants going to Chauncey's and Bonfire and other restaurants downtown. Downtown was full of people in costumes, and it was great. It was really, really neat. Another really, really good thing, I attend church at Trinity United Methodist Church, which Trinity has for 26 months kind of been the poster child of the flooding in Conway. That was where Trump came, and we were in our church this past Sunday for the first time since 26 months ago, and it was great. It really, really was great. The church has done an unbelievable job fixing it back up and pretty much making it flood proof. I say that, knock on wood. But it really brought back a sense of community for that church, being in the building. For some time, we were at Conway Christian and then have been doing virtual. So actually, I know that the church is the people, but being in our building was great. And I thought that was a kind of a maybe a pinnacle to that seems to be the last real thing as far as the flooding that everybody was kind of waiting on. And I think the city, they were, the building departments and everything were very helpful in helping Trinity get everything done. I want to just say, I think that what Ashley is doing is fantastic. I know he really, really worked a lot with Dr. Screams. And I think that it probably needs to be said that his creativity was somewhat hijacked, and I think that that's wrong from the people who did that. But I am super excited to see what the city can put together. I know that it'll be great, but I think he should definitely be. I know what they were attempting was going to be fantastic, but I know he'll do a good job. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Thank you so much. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, two things. One's pretty quick. Yesterday, Conway Fire Department responded to a structure fire behind Donzel's, the church that's in that building. It was quickly put out. No injuries that I'm aware of, but the owner of that entire property, Charlie Ray, was just over the moon with how the response from the fire department, public safety, and wanted that to be conveyed. Very grateful and appreciative of everything the city does, and particularly in this case, the fire department. So I'm relaying that message on. The second thing is just a follow-up thought from the mask conversation. This has been a very difficult topic. At least it has been for me, because I see both sides of this. And as all of y'all know, and I want the public to know too, back in this summer when we approved this, I wasn't initially on board all the way and voted to do some kind of hybrid version, as we'll all recall. And that was a Monday night. It was a Monday night, of course, council meeting. The next day, the following day, on Tuesday night, I was out here at this rec center, and my 9-year-old was right beside me. And we had just finished his game. Of course, the spring sports had been pushed over into the summer. And I had a lady walk up to me and call me, and I'm not going to say it, I'm just going to abbreviate it, but she called me a GDMFer in front of my 9-year-old. Okay. And so if anybody from the media is watching this tonight, I want you to know how difficult this situation's been, because I've been on both sides of this mask issue. And I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know that any of us truly know. History, as Ms. Tim said, history will judge what was right and what was wrong. All we can do is what we can do based on people who supposedly know more than we do. And that's all I can do. But I had to walk to my truck and sit in my truck and explain to my 9-year-old what a GDMFer is. And this is what we sign up for. Okay? In about 15 minutes, my first grader is going to start his flag football game, which I'll miss most of. But I'm here, as all of you are. And I'm sorry, it's been a long year. It's been tough. But I want folks in the community to know we're doing the best that we can with the resources that we've got and the information. And we do have some duty to protect. And I sure as heck don't know what the right answer is. But we went down this road. We're going to see it through. And we're going to come out stronger. And just as the gentleman stood before us, we are Conway strong, and we will be that. Anyway, thank you. I'm sorry. Probably a little too much information there, but just sometimes you just have to let it out. And so I have, and I thank you all for indulging me.
Thank you, Mr. Goldfinch. Mr. Hubbard.
Not very much. Thank you, William. That was very well said, even though you have been called other things, yes. Mr. Hyman, I'm glad you got to go down to Chauncey's after the parade. My driver was not that ambitious. He did have his wife looking over his shoulder. I will give him that. And thank you. So it was me. But that being said, William, thank you. We do the best we can. We do, and we don't always agree, but we all leave here. We're friends, I hope. I didn't get a chance to say to our military guys, I hope I go on record, thank you for your service and welcome home. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hubbard. Ms. Timms.
I'll have to admit that I got broken in earlier than most of you because I taught high school for a long number of years before getting on city council. And I was called ugly names by lunch every day. So it bounces off of me a little better than it would if I had just walked into this job. And William is correct. There is a lot of responsibility that goes with it. There's a lot of input. And if you just can't vote based on how many vote one way or the other, you have to make your own decisions about what you think's the proper thing to do as well. But it's a great job, but it's a tough job. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Timms. Mr. White.
Okay. I saw good stuff. Last night on Roku, that ROKU deal, my cousin from Marion has a movie called Christmas in Carolina. And I would employ all of you to watch it if you can. We did some scenes, or she did some scenes here in Conway at the bistro and down there at the River Walk and et cetera. And she named the city of Conway and the bistro and the city of Marion and Florence, et cetera. So please try to watch that. Christmas in Carolina is the name. And I want to thank Adam and the guys that are cleaning up the Smith Jones property on 378. It's getting to be looking pretty good. And then there are sinkholes that are coming up on 9th Avenue and 378, all the way up to 16th Avenue on the right-hand lane. So if you would just have someone to take a look at it, it's a great deep one at 9th and
On 378 or on 9th?
378.
Did you say sinkholes?
It's right at the light, signal light. But then as you're going up on 378 towards middle school, this on that right lane, it's real bad. And I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. Ms. Timms, I think you had something.
Yeah, I'm
to add.
sorry, I forgot something. I don't know what we could do, but with the Coastal Carolina football team doing so extraordinarily well and being advertised on national television now, even lately, we have got to remind them that Coastal is in Conway. And I don't know how, can we put up a billboard, a really big one?
Yeah.
I'll say this, I saw two of the coaches on two separate ESPN interviews, and they each said that Coastal Carolina is in Conway, South Carolina. That was followed very quickly with, we are 15 miles from Myrtle Beach, but they at least said it right. And,
Well,
and
that's good.
I think,
I didn't hear that. What I heard was just giving credit to Myrtle Beach.
sure.
I think it's the national media. It's easier for people to understand where Myrtle Beach is. That's not an excuse, but I think the local staff, the coaches, they know where they are, they know where we are, and we get good credit from them.
Well, I just would like to, it just grates on me when I hear it.
That's right. Thank you, Ms. Timms. I think everything that's been said has been said well. I echo every sentiment I've heard, particularly Mr. Goldfinch's about the decision-making process. I just feel the need to echo a piece. I personally believe in limiting the scope of government on the life of an individual to only where it's necessary. I believe in free will, free moving, a lot of freedom. But when public health is the issue, I think that's one of the exceptions to the rule. And I hope that I know that our decision is based on a hope that it ultimately will keep somebody alive. I hope that is the outcome of the decision. There's so many variables, and I don't disagree with people who could argue more confidently and more intelligently an opposing side. I just believe strongly that it's our job to do what we can to keep everybody safe from harm. And I applaud this council for trying even longer. We will, at this point, go into executive session once there's a motion to discuss negotiations incident to the proposed purchase or sale of riverfront property pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2, after which this council will reconvene and possibly take action on matters that were discussed during the executive session. Is there a motion? Mr. Hyman?
Mayor, I would make a motion to go to executive session.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Mr. White?
I second.
We have a properly seconded motion to go into executive session at this time. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And that motion carries unanimously. Maybe we can take a 2-minute break.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have returned from executive session, and now we are at item 12, possible action on matters discussed therein. What is the will of the council? Mr. Hyman?
Mayor,
I'm sorry. Mr. White made the motion to come out of executive session. It was seconded by Mr. Hubbard, and the motion carried unanimously. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Mr. Hyman. Mr. Hubbard.
Thank you, Mayor. I possibly have multiple motions, but the first motion would be in relation to the property commonly known as Bonfire. My motion would be that we give Bonfire the 18.5 by 59 patio area to the left of the building, the area between the footprint of the building and the river, the 7-foot wide strip on the right side of the building where utilities are housed, and also the 11.3 shed area with the caveat that the shed comply with the CAB.
Or whatever is built in its stead.
That's correct.
Thank you.
There was also, part of that motion is that any improvements by the applicant must be approved by the CAB and permitted with planning and building. And the applicant will prepare any necessary plats and deeds. And that the dumpster must be removed as a condition of approval. And utilize the new earth.
Okay. Mr. Goldfinch. We have a properly seconded motion relative to the development property regarding, and this was put in the name of the bonfire, I believe.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Mr. Hyman, you want to continue?
Sure.
All right.
Mayor, I would also make a motion that in regards to the property commonly referred to as the tractor shed, that we accept the proposal by Water Tower Properties LLC. Do we need to put the entire proposal in it or just the proposal listed?
Then you go with staff recommendation, okay?
All right, I would,
Yeah, I would say go on staff recommendation on that.
okay, thank you very much. Is there a second, Mr. Goldfinch? We have a properly seconded motion to follow staff's recommendation relative to that property that is known as the tractor shed. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. Motion carries unanimously. We yield to you, Mr. Hyman, unless you're done.
Just one more motion, and I don't know if this needs to be by way of motion, but it would simply be that staff meet with Tripp Neely regarding the under the bridge property to discuss this matter further.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Or is that just a recommendation?
Well,
either way, we'll do it.
Okay, well, let's make it a motion then. Ms. Timms, we have a properly seconded motion in that regard, that we follow staff's recommendation relative to under the bridge, Mr. Tripp Neely. All in favor with a show of hands, please. And that motion carries unanimously, which,
I was just gonna say one last motion.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, in regards to the property next to Bonfire, my motion is that we accept the proposal and staff recommendation in regards to Steve Fitzpatrick in Genford Development.
all right, sir. Mr. Goldfinch? We have a properly seconded motion relative to the Genford, or is it Genford? Genford Development. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor with a show of hands, please. That motion also carries unanimously. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Were you just trying to keep us on tense. All right, so, Mr. White,
Second.
we have a properly seconded motion to adjourn at this time. Yeah, I know, it still, yeah, it still is. So with all matters taken care of, all in favor with a show of hands, please. And the motion carries unanimously. So I hereby adjourn this meeting of the Conway City Council. Thank you all so much. Have a